Flex a few miles south of NRG Park. We'll discuss this and more in today's Top Headlines. I'm Ernie Manouse.
And I'm guest host Doris Childress. Summer in Houston means pools and backyard fun, but it also brings a spike in preventable injuries. Today, emergency physician Dr. Hilary Fairbrother joins us with simple steps that could keep you out of the ER this summer.
Plus, a coming-of-age story about grief, identity, and unconventional love is heading to theaters this weekend. We'll talk with this first-time director and the Houston producer about Sugar Beach.
And as always, we want to hear from you. Give us a call or text us at 713-440-8870.
Hello, Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, by Metro, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Louise Schiavone. Two significant U.S. Supreme Court rulings this morning affecting the lives of immigrants to the U.S. On a 6-3 vote, the conservative majority greatly altered the landscape for immigrants holding temporary protected status, the program known as TPS. The justices gave the Trump administration the green light to end that program and begin mass deportations of people who've been living and working legally in the U.S. for years. 17 countries have the designation. NPR's Jimena Bustillo looks at the impact.
After the ruling, there was a statement issued by Javier Palomerza, president of the U.S. Hispanic Business Council, and he said that this ruling also comes at a time when employers are already struggling to find and retain workers to work in areas like construction, for example, is one, or manufacturing, processing as well. And so this means that it could be harder for businesses to grow and plan and also compete.
NPR's Jimena Bustillo. The justices also ruled that the government has the power to stop asylum seekers from physically entering the United States. President Trump yesterday canceled a bill signing ceremony for a bipartisan housing bill, saying his pet issue, an election bill, had to be first. NPR's Franco Ordonez looks at the president's turnabout.
It speaks to bigger issues about Trump's efforts to expand his executive power and political power, and the loyalty he expects from those he works with. That includes U.S. allies, who he has been frustrated with for not supporting him enough in the war on Iran.
I just want their loyalty. We don't need their money. We don't need anything. We have the most powerful military in the world by far. But I just want loyalty. You know, we're so loyal to them.
Political strategists say Trump is more focused on loyalty, including Republicans being loyal to him rather than having the necessary majorities who can pass his legislation. Franco Ordonez, NPR News.
A coalition of publishers representing nearly 400 newspapers has filed suit against OpenAI and Microsoft. The suit accuses the companies of stealing copyrighted material to build artificial intelligence models. NPR's John Ruwitch reports.
Plaintiffs say this is the biggest coalition of local newspapers yet to sue OpenAI and Microsoft for violating protections under the Copyright Act. They say the companies systematically and willfully stole copyrighted news articles to build AI products like ChatGPT and Microsoft Copilot. The case is the latest in a raft of lawsuits accusing AI companies of scraping copyrighted material from the web to train models. The coalition includes Pulitzer Prize-winning publications like the Riverdale Press and the Concord Monitor, and the New York Amsterdam News, one of the oldest Black-owned newspapers in the U.S. OpenAI and Microsoft did not have an immediate comment. John Ruwitch, NPR News.
This is NPR.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Matt Harab. Houston ISD state-appointed board of managers are expected to vote on the 2026-2027 $2 billion budget proposal tonight. Superintendent Mike Miles had hoped to balance the budget this year, but recent drafts of the proposal show expenditures will exceed revenue by around $25 million. Again, a vote expected tonight. Meanwhile, a small group of parents met last night to discuss the district's changes to special education. Houston ISD is consolidating some special education classes at select high schools, requiring some students to transfer. The move sparked community backlash and prompted a federal investigation. Monica Cavazos Rojas was told her son Carlos, who has autism, would have to move from their home campus of Bel Air High to Sharpstown for his senior year.
I mean, I was devastated. This whole summer has had a dark cloud over it because we weren't sure what was going to happen.
Now, after an appeal to the TEA, she says that her son will now be allowed to attend Bel Air. Other parents, though, are still considering what options they have to avoid transferring. The Democratic Party state convention is opening today in Corpus Christi. One of the most significant absences, though, among the roster of speakers is Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Our political reporter Andrew Schneider reports on how the decision could impact James Tallarico, who beat Crockett in the primaries.
If Tallarico is to have a chance to break Texas Democrats' 3-decade losing streak in U.S. Senate campaigns, he'll need the support of black voters, and particularly black women. Texas Southern University's Michael Adams says that's not a given.
Not having Jasmine Crockett, who would be able to gin up the black turnout, will be something that may come back to bite Tallarico and other Democrats.
Crockett recently told the Dallas Morning News she has no idea whether she'll actively campaign for Tallarico. The latest poll from the Texas Politics Project shows Tallarico in a statistical dead heat with Republican Attorney General Ken Paxton. I'm Andrew Schneider, News 88.7.
Currently 86 degrees here on the UH campus. Similar to yesterday, we'll get a high in the mid-90s, 93 for the high today. I'm Matt Harrop, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include DuckDuckGo, who believes AI should be useful, private, and optional. DuckDuckGo offers controls to turn AI on or off. Learn more at duckduckgo.com.
From Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Hello Houston.
Hello, Ernie Manouse with you on this fine Thursday, June 25th. I say the date because in a moment I'm going to tell you something special about today's date, but something even more important and special is sitting in with me. And the guest host chair is the one, the only award-winning journalist and personality all around, Doris Childress.
Oh, well, you can introduce me one more time. I like that.
Oh, there were so many different things I'm running through. How do I say all of the wonderful things that encompass Doris Childress?
Just so much to say, I guess.
I guess so, too. It's great to have you here with us.
Thank you, Ernie.
And when I
Good
talk
to be
about,
here.
okay, I'm going to put you on the spot for just a second. When
Go
you
ahead.
talk about, when I say award-winning, some of the awards you have won over your illustrious career.
Of course, the Emmy, the Gracie, Press Club, Telly. Communicator, Health and Human Services Awards here in the city. I got one from a ladies group called Iconic Woman Award.
Oh,
I did. So that
one
was fun.
Yeah.
But enough about me.
There's never enough about Doris
Well,
Childress.
thank you,
I love having you here, and thank you for joining us today. Yesterday, Maria Todd was in with us. The last 2 days, Maria Todd was in, and we got talking about treats that people like, and she came across bomb pops, those red, white, and blue.
Yes, I know those well.
And so we were talking about it on the show, and over in our YouTubers group over on YouTube, where you can watch the show live every day, my British computer guy piped in to say after yesterday's show and the discussion about bomb pops, today is National Bomb Pop Day.
That's a wonderful day. I really like bomb pops. It's like childhood wrapped up in each little layer. It's really, really good. The flavors really blend well. It's a surprise in every lick.
Well, for folks that don't know what we're talking about or aren't connecting the name with the object, it's that iconic rocket-shaped tri-colored frozen treat. It was originally invented in Kansas City. I didn't know that. And the three flavors, I didn't realize what the white was. So it's red, white, and blue. That's why everyone loves it, especially during the 4th of July. Red is cherry. The blue, of course, blue raspberry. But the white color is lime.
Oh, I knew.
Oh, yeah, because you eat them all the time.
But, when you see those come out, it signals it's summer, it's the 4th of July. It's time to just go full on red, white, and blue. Love your America,
Yeah.
I'm a big 4th of July girl.
You love, and you also love fireworks.
Oh, I do.
We're going to have a fireworks
really,
story,
really
I think,
do.
coming up today to talk a little about that. We got a lot of great stuff on the show today, too, to talk about. But it seems funny. Every time you're on the show, what do we end up with? Dr. Viviana Coles comes in to talk relationship advice.
She's really good.
She's
I
great.
like her.
And she's going to be taking your calls and questions and comments, and that'll be coming up in a little bit later in the show. But I often wonder, is it like, Doris is on, we need to have relationship advice here. Is there something we don't know going on? Do you need help in that area?
No, I'm just really good at it.
I'm the one who needs help in the area.
We need to talk about Ernie. We do need to talk about
we'll get to that.
We're going to get to it.
Yeah. Also, it's summertime, and we want you to be safe this summer. And so we are going to have advice for you how to stay safe in the heat, what to avoid, what to watch out for. There's a lot of common sense advice we forget.
We do forget the common sense stuff. We just say summer, go wild, be free, just go for it, because that's what I feel every time it hits June. I'm going like, I'm doing everything.
Yeah. Well, and also I think it comes from that long history of it's summer vacation.
Summer break.
School takes a break, so we get to go out there. I wonder what the history is of summer vacation.
I don't know.
Was it you needed the kids around to work on the farm?
Oh, it was. It was something more about labor, and now it's transitioned more into personal time with the family, those me moments and just gathering. But before then, it was about labor. Those kids were out helping bring in the products and bringing in the income. And I know kids are glad that it changed.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. Also, with summertime, you think of vacations. Maybe you're going to Sugar Beach. New movie that's out. I don't think it's a movie about that necessarily, but we're going to have the director and the producer on the show based out of here in Houston, and they're going to talk about this new film for us.
Do you have a number one thing that you do for vacationing?
Growing up, I probably did more than I do now. And we talk about this often, so my mom, I take care of my mom. So that kind of limits where I can go. I was going to go to Quebec City this summer, but I think that trip might be on hold. I'm okay with that. Then there was talk of going over to Europe, but it's like I don't want to be that far from mom. So unless I can jet out in my private jet to my chalet for a day, I think I'm probably going to stay around the Houston area. One other thing I want to hit on before we get into the headlines of the day. It is Thursday, which is Current Obsessions Day. Doris and I have both brought together our current obsessions. We'll share them with you a little bit later in the show, but we want to know yours. What's that book, that movie, that TV show? What's that concept that's keeping you over-involved than you should be, that you are putting other things to the side because you're way too attentive on that? Could it be the World Cup? You're really obsessed with that? Send them to us.
But it could be something simple.
It could be something simple.
Yeah.
It could be sprinklers.
Oh.
I don't know why that came to mind, but it could be anything.
Do you run through them during the summer?
When I was a kid, I used to.
I bet you still do.
Well, there's no spring. I'm a very city dweller, so like outside of my front door is just concrete, so it's not like there's no yard.
I love playing in the rain.
Do you?
I do. So sprinklers are on the list for me too.
Okay, well, if you've got one and you want to share it with us, talk@hellohouston.org, or you can text them to us at 713-440-8870, or you can just call and share them with us when we get to that part of the show. But it is and also, YouTubers, they start listing them over there in the chat group on our YouTube channel, so go there and start sharing them with us. Okay. All of that's out of the way. We've told you what's on the show. We've welcomed Doris. We've told you how wonderful she is. And we've talked about bomb pops. Only thing left for the open of this show is to get into the news. Doris, take us away.
Let's get into this headline, which is a pretty good one. The Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo plans to build a new $300 million agricultural complex off of Highway 288, just a few miles south of NRG Park. It's going to have the new arena, central building, and ranching facilities. Rodeo officials confirmed they are not leaving NRG Park, which has been the annual event's home for decades in the near future. The complex is entirely funded by the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo Group, says President and CEO Chris Bowman. He told that to Houston Public Media just recently. And after the groundbreaking ceremony slated for late 2026, the facility is expected to be put to use for the 2029 rodeo. As we approach our 100-year anniversary in 2032, Bowman says this is part of the vision and expansion, and it's something that they've been working on since 2019. Rodeo officials, including Bowman, emphasize that Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo plans to remain at NRG Park, utilizing NRG Stadium and the NRG Center for the Rodeo. This fall, the park plans to return to the name of Reliant Park, renaming each of those facilities as well. So, what are your thoughts on the new building? Do you believe the rodeo will stay with NRG Park? Call or text us at 713-440-8870. Will they stay or will they go?
Well, I've got a whole bunch of thoughts on this one.
What
First
are your
of all,
thoughts?
If my information is correct, their lease with NRG Park, or soon to be Reliant Park again, is expiring. So they're in the position of negotiating right now what the lease entitles them to. If I also understand the lease correctly, they have what they call fence-to-fence ownership of the park during the time of the rodeo, which means every building, every facility they have access to, which is part of the problem, I believe, with Astrodome redevelopment, because that's in the middle of that park. So any business that would go in there, some people said a hotel or something like that, would have to, as my understanding, not legal, but my understanding of it, would have to turn themselves over for a month out of the year to the rodeo. So there are restrictions on what happens there and other events and all of that.
But there are some pros.
Oh, there's lots of pros.
The pros are, think about it. They could have year-round events.
Right.
You know, you can do what
you
you
mean pros
want.
to building the new
pros
facility.
To building the new facility. And I'm not advocating, but even if they decide to move it out there, you do what you want because it's your space. It's just like getting your own home, and you could expand some of the events beyond, rodeo month.
That brings up another point, but let me wrap on the thing. So I think that all of this negotiation is a good negotiating tool to say, well, if we don't have the deal we currently have or a better deal, look at this. We've got this new facility we can move into. So I think all of that's at play.
I love to see it play out, but just bring the fun.
When you say, though, about you would have your own facility and all that, they could have, of course, what I think they've talked about wanting is a rodeo museum of the history of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. They'd be able to do stuff like that. They'd be able to have events all year long. Here's another question for you listening, 713-440-8870. Year-long rodeo, is that too much? Is there something special about the rodeo only existing for a brief moment each year that you get to go to and enjoy? If it were there all the time,
but you expand it to so many different things.
Is there an audience for it?
We're Texans. Yes, there's an audience. Hush your mouth, sir. We want this.
So, okay. Well, what do you want? Give us a call. I would love to hear. 713-440-8870. I'm looking at my other notes here that I had about it. Yeah, I think it's a giant negotiating tool. And here's the other thing. If you have the rodeo at it took me forever to call it NRG, and now I can't switch it back to Reliant. If you have it there, would you hop in a car? Would you hop on a shuttle bus? Would you drive these few miles to the other position, see the exhibits, see some like the ropings and stuff that go on in the other activities, and then come back to Reliant? Or would you be like, no, I'm at Reliant. I'm staying here at Reliant. Would you commute back and forth, do you think, if it was on two locations?
I think some people will. If you make the event fantastical enough.
Fantastical.
I know. Make it attractive. And you don't have to drive, and they've got shuttles. I'm on a shuttle and going to enjoy the space.
Wine Goddess Texas writes in our chat group, I don't think the new facility could host the actual rodeo performances. They will always have a need for a large stadium. True that.
Now that's true. That's a good point.
A big stadium out there. I mean, rodeo's flush with money. They do pretty well. And they also have endowments, and they've been planning this. I guarantee you, from knowing the folks at rodeo, this isn't a snap decision. They've been planning this out for a while. So I'm sure their finances are in place.
Look, I've got a lot of denim, and I've got rhinestone cowboy boots. Just give me enough events to wear those. That's what I need.
That's what Doris wants. 713-440-8870. April from Meyerland is on the line. April, what are your thoughts?
So I used to volunteer with the Transportation Committee, and I'll tell you, the back of NRG Center, or what they're going to rename Reliance Center, that's stock full of, trucks and trailers full of animals. I bet you that's the stuff that's going to be moving to the new space. They're going to keep the concerts at the stadium. They're going to keep the shopping because that's where the money is going to be coming through.
Right.
It's going to be the high school kids that are showing their animals, that are competing for the scholarships. That's what's going to be moved, in my opinion.
Yeah. Having volunteered for there and the transportation committee, one question we were just talking about while you were waiting to join us was, do you think folks that if they're at Reliant Park are going to hop in a shuttle or something and go over to the other facility, or your general feeling, once people land in the Reliant Park, they're set?
Well, if it's what I'm thinking it's going to be, I think it'll be the other way around. The people from the other facility will hop on a shuttle and come to Reliant.
April.
That was good.
Thank you for sharing with us. And we welcome all points of view on this. 713.
Piggybacking. I'm sorry, go ahead.
713-440-8870.
Piggybacking on what she just said about the transportation, and it may just be the kids at the new facility, I would hate for the kids to lose an audience.
Right.
So think it out very, very well.
Yesterday, I was very bad at the Would You Rather Wednesday in reading out our poll question. So we got a new poll up on YouTube. So if you go over to YouTube and are watching us live there, you can take this poll. The question is, if the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo were open all year, how often would you go? Go and make a vote right now, and we'll read those results in our next hour. It is fascinating. Okay, also, Cliff Plans HTX says, Morning, HTX. New rodeo site sounds like an amazing and interesting off-site location to further build development. There you go. It's interesting. Okay. I got to do this story just because you're here today.
Yes.
Also, if you still want to comment about the Livestock Show and Rodeo, give us a call. But I'm moving on to move over, soccer stars. Ranch dressing may be the unexpected breakout star of the FIFA World Cup. As international fans travel across the U.S., many are discovering America's favorite condiment, and some are even trying to take bottles home. That prompted a reminder from TSA: ranch dressing counts as a liquid. This is subject to the agency's 311 carry-on rules. The agency jokes on social media that fans should pack full-size bottles in their checked luggage after reports of travelers trying to bring ranch through airport security. So my question is, what are your thoughts on this ranch dressing craze? Also, what's the wildest thing you brought home when you were traveling overseas? 713-440-8870. Quickly, the TSA rule, just to remind folks, is the 311 rule, which is the carry-on limit for liquids, aerosols, gels, creams, and pastes, and it's 3.4 ounces or less per container, 1 quart-size clear plastic resealable bag, and 1 bag per passenger. Reminding you all of that because it's summertime and a lot of people are traveling.
So this is how you solve it.
Okay.
You get those individual ranch little serving sizes. They sell them in every store, and they sell them in, stacks of 8, stacks of 9, 10, or whatever. Then you can put it in because it is the regulated size, and you can get it over there. Or you find an American friend who just ships it over to you.
Make
that's
an American
what you do.
friend. Get a ranch dressing
I am your
hookup.
ranch connection, okay?
You could start a business shipping ranch to our friends overseas.
Ooh, we could.
We could. Hey.
But which ranch are they talking about? Restaurant ranch is a little better than bottle ranch.
Okay, full
it's
disclosure.
Thicker, it's creamier.
I'm not a ranch fan.
Oh, my God.
I know. I never took to it. Now, my friend Jeff comes over to the house all the time.
Why are you hating on ranch?
He has to bring his own bottle of ranch dressing. It sits in my fridge because I never buy it.
Okay, what's your problem with ranch?
I don't have a problem with it.
I think you do.
I don't even think I understand it. I couldn't even describe the flavor to you.
Rich, creamy.
But what's the tangy to it?
It's kind of like it's got almost like a dill and a garlic and a Parmesan all blended together. And it can go on meat. It can go on vegetables.
I laugh about this because I'm sure there's not another single person in our whole listening audience who doesn't know what ranch tastes like me. I mean, it's there. I've just never been drawn to it.
Put it on pizza.
No, sacrilege.
Oh, my goodness. I thought so, too. Until my kids told me, take a dip, dipped it, and I was sold.
Okay, let me ask this about ranch then. They often have the ranch seasoning mixes at the store.
Very good.
Can you buy one? Could folks buy those and take them home, or do what? You mix it with just mayonnaise? Maybe?
No, see, I use those to season chicken.
Oh.
I just sprinkle it on. That's
But
more
you
of a
can-
seasoning. I don't
You
know
can't
about
use it
that.
to make ranch dressing?
That sounds like a mess in the making.
So nobody called to tell me the strangest thing that they brought in to the country.
What about you?
I shouldn't fess up to this, but I will really quickly. I brought a bottle of ouzo, but I knew, the liqueur from Greece. And I'm not much of a drinker, but I do like my ouzo. And I know you can't bring alcohol, so I poured it into a water bottle, and it's a clear liquid. And so it was in, and back then you could take a water bottle on with you on the plane. And I brought a water bottle and it was like one of those clear, buy the 1 liter bottle of water at the airport, but it was full of ouzo. It sat in my refrigerator for a while, and then one day I'd come home from polo. It was a warm Sunday afternoon, and I saw it there, and I just went to town on my ouzo. It was the worst drunk I ever had in my life. And I don't have many of them to pull from. But anyway, that's the worst thing I ever brought. Nowadays, that would be against the rules.
I don't think I've ever brought anything that was weird.
Did you travel a lot overseas?
No, when I was here doing documentaries, I did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did. But never anything weird or
Jules from
criminal.
Houston writes in and says, the one thing I brought in was from Thailand was mosquito spray. I wish I had brought more. So that must have been a good Thailand mosquito spray. My British computer says, when my mom visits and tried it for the first time, we're talking about ranch, she fell in love with it. That time she took 5 bottles of ranch dressing back with her to the UK.
She needs to tell everyone how she did it.
Okay, well, that's just what we've got for you right now. Coming up on the show, though, we're going to dig a little bit deeper. We're going to talk about summer safety. That's coming up next, so don't go anywhere. You're listening to Hello Houston here on News 88.7.
Meet Dio Choco. We just took his keys for the day and gave him a Ride Metro fare card. This is his story. Visit ridemetro.org/Choco to find out where is Choco.
Whether you're an NPR listener, a PBS watcher, or both, your ongoing donations of at least $5 per month qualify for PBS Passport. Make your gift now to start watching at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
Houston Public Media, in partnership with Texas Southern University, brings to you The Vibe, R&B, hip-hop, and neo-soul, music that resonates with all ages. The Vibe on 88.7 HD3 and on the Houston Public Media app.
Support comes from Metro. World Cup planning includes transit improvements intended to serve Houston after the final match. Metro provides bus, rail, and paratransit service and continues mobility enhancements across the region. More at ridemetro.org/Metro now.
Houston Public Media is licensed to the University of Houston System, governed by the UH Board of Regents. Information about open meetings, dates, times, and locations is online at uhsystem.edu.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Houston Grand Opera, presenting its 2026-2027 season featuring Angel Blue as Susanna, Matthew Polizzani as Faust, Aylin Perez as Aida, and more. Information at hgo.org.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Hildebrand MBA at UT Austin's McCombs School of Business. Offering the weekend MBA at Houston. Campus visit tomorrow. Details at texasmbaevents.com. Make it here.
Support comes from Pearland, Texas, a community supporting innovation in business, science, healthcare, energy, and inspiring their citizens. More on innovation happening in Pearland at pearlandedc.com. Pearland, innovation lives here.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Ernie Manouse and guest host Doris Childress.
All right, the summer season is now in full swing, which means many of us will likely indulge in numerous outdoor activities, from going to the beach to playing sports or even having a family fun day, outdoor barbecue, all of that great stuff. However, while many of us associate this season with having fun and being carefree, it is really important to remember that there's also quite a few risks involved with many of our favorite summertime activities. And it's worth remembering that we have to be safe during this time of the year. Joining us now to share tips for how we can best be productive and have fun during the summer is Dr. Hilary Fairbrother, professor in the Department of Emergency Medicine at UTHealth Houston's McGovern Medical School. Dr. Fairbrother, welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you.
We are all so carefree during the summer. Oh my God, it's just like we lose our minds.
My volume in the emergency department is high. I know how carefree Houston is.
What's the number one reason we come in during the summer?
It's the same stuff. We just get a higher volume of, I would say, the different accidents that happen when people are outside. We certainly get much more heat-related illness. We see a lot of boo-boos fall down. Everybody's outside. They're falling. They're having fun.
Boo-boos?
Yes, sure. Exactly. Well, it doesn't really matter if you're old or young, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, you fall down. You have one right there.
I got mine too.
Oh, hey, you guys are almost like matching.
We are. We do a lot in sync.
Oh, nice.
Question for you, though. So I'm showing you my boo-boo. We talked about it on the show the other day. I was using one of those mandolin slicers. Brace yourselves, folks. And the blade went up under my fingernail and cut because I wasn't paying attention. How do I know when I should go to an emergency room or not?
Oh.
When is it that's a serious cut? Because I think a lot of people are drinking and prepping food also for barbecues.
Sure.
And knife skills are not what they should be among most folks. And so when is a cut or an injury or a boo-boo, if we're going to use the technical term, warrant a visit to the emergency room?
So if you've cut yourself, you're preparing food, maybe you were having a little fun along the way. If it won't stop bleeding, or you can see maybe in like 15 minutes.
So if it's been constantly going.
If it's been bleeding or if it's squirting blood at you got to go. You got to
like
come to the ER.
Like a Monty Python moment and the blood squirting out.
Yeah, and if it's a big cut or something that looks pretty deep, you probably need some stitches or at the very least some glue. I bet on your finger we couldn't stitch anything because it sounds like you just cut the tip of your finger off. So sorry.
It didn't come off.
Oh, good.
The blade went under the nail, but it also cut a hole in the nail.
Yeah.
There are new Band-Aids out. We were talking about these on the show that are like these pro health thing. They stick on this with some bubble forms from some kind of gel. Do any of these Band-Aids make a difference?
If it's really small and it's stopped bleeding, then some of that bubble stuff might help. If it's still bleeding, that stuff's just going to come right off. So you had best come see somebody so that we can get a more appropriate bandage on there, and also just make sure there wasn't a deeper structure involved with whatever you cut.
And you want to clean it out and make sure it's a clean cut.
Yeah, you always want to clean out, especially if you're cooking, right? So if you're cutting really anything, but particularly like fish or chicken or any kind of raw meat or raw animal product, you really want to make sure you rinse out and wash out that area. And you don't have to scrub. You can just really put it under running water in the sink.
Last question on this, and then I'll let Doris speak.
Thank you.
I'm kind of getting carried
She's
away
trying.
here. When you clean it out, hydrogen peroxides or antibiotic ointments, or what should you use? Mercurochrome. I remember that from when I was a kid.
Oh man! Don't use mercurochrome. If you can find it, don't use it. So what I always recommend is clean it out with water. You don't need to get in there and scrub with soap. You do want to make sure that there aren't any foreign bodies in there. So if you were chopping carrots, hopefully there's no carrot in your finger. Honestly, if it's a deep enough cut to leave carrot in your finger, you probably need to come see me in the ER. But in general, you wash it out, you put some pressure on it, make sure it stops bleeding.
No hydrogen peroxide, no alcohol.
No, that is just not necessary. And you know what? It actually impedes healing. It makes healing harder and worse because as soon as you cut yourself, your body is starting to heal itself. And so all you really do is damage those baby new cells that are coming together to try and heal your body, and you make it harder for them to work. And that's if it's a burn, if it's a cut, whatever it is. Hydrogen peroxide really only helps me if the blood is caked on there and dried like an old wound. And you know how hard it can be to scrub old blood off of something, or I don't know if you do know.
Probably have
but
more
I know.
experience with that than
And
we
so
do.
we use it for something like that, but we're not using it to clean out the wound. We're literally using it to like clean off the non-injured skin.
Interesting.
I didn't know that.
I know, old wives' tale, old mother's remedy that is
I'm
not
throwing away
so
my
great.
Mercurochrome.
Yeah.
Yes,
please
do.
I'm pretty sure that stuff has something toxic in it, so I would not recommend it.
You know, summertime, the first thing I think about is swimming.
Yeah.
Pool safety. One question is, if you have fencing around your home, do you also have to have it around the pool for safety for kids or for anybody? It may not be your area, but I just would like to know if you know.
Well, so every state has different laws about the level and the amount of fencing, how close it needs to be to the pool. But even Texas, because we don't have a lot of those kind of safety laws, but in Texas, in Houston, it is required to have your pool sealed off so that, let's say a 2-year-old is wandering by, they can't see your beautiful pool and just walk into it and drown. Mm-hmm. And so there is a element of safety whenever a pool is behind a fence. I think a lot of people do not have a locked gate or anything like that, and that is certainly not the law that a gate has to be locked, but it is supposed to be guarded by a secure fence that is completely surrounding the pool. How close it is to the pool, whether you have one of those double layers going on where you have your fence and then you have another layer around the pool, that is really going to be more of a state-by-state law, and that has some specifics that, you know, hopefully your builder and your different people in your neighborhood can absolutely make sure that you are following the law.
We are discussing summer safety with Dr. Hilary Fairbrother, professor of Department of Emergency Medicine at UTHealth, Houston. If you want to join the conversation, give us a call right now with your summer health questions, 713-440-8870.
Water safety in general.
Okay.
You know, we're talking about family gatherings and events. What would you recommend, the checkpoints that you have to do before the event and to keep us from coming to see you guys in the emergency room?
Well, and I have to tell you, as an emergency physician, drownings and children drowning is probably one of the worst things that we see, because we all know that that's an accident that's completely preventable. That should be a never event. And in Houston and in Texas last year, in Texas, 88 children drowned. We have one of the highest rates of drowning across the country. We're not totally winning. Texas is not number one, but we have higher than many, many states with the levels of drowning, and most of it happens in pools and bathtubs. It's not in the ocean. It's not in a lake. It is in the water that is close to our homes, even inside our homes and bathtubs. And so what I tell people, and I know that I kind of drive my poor friends crazy about this, but any time that there is a water, if we're having a barbecue around someone's house, has a pool, so many people have these beautiful pools, there has to be someone with eyes on the pool at all time if there is anyone in the party who cannot swim. And that is, really, really important, because drowning happens so fast and it is so silent. We all like to think it's going to be like the movie. Someone's going to fall into the water and then they're going to splash around and yell out, and we're going to be alerted to the fact that they are in distress. And really what happens is a person who cannot swim falls into water where they cannot stand, and it's silent. They just fall in, and then that's it.
That happened to me. I luckily survived in my teen years.
I'm so glad, but it's
I luckily
scary,
survived
and it's
because people have the tendency to believe in this old wives' tale. Oh, if you just toss somebody in, they'll learn to swim. They'll instinctively know. I was on a youth trip. A guy threw me in the 8th foot section and just thought I was going to swim. But I was physically fighting for my life. And eventually, I guess someone realized it and they came in to get me out. But I almost drowned them fighting to get out. I got out, but it's scary. That's one of the safety things. Don't throw anyone in saying they can just figure it out.
Yeah, that's not a good plan. That is, we all need to make sure that we can swim. And if someone's going into water where they cannot stand, they need to be able to swim. I never depend on the side of the pool, never depend on any of the flotation devices. Everything can fail. If a child can't swim, if a person can't swim, somebody needs to be in the pool with them who can swim at all times. And, what we do is we just trade lifeguard duty. We always have a parent on lifeguard duty. And that parent does need to be paying attention, not on their phone, and, not intoxicated, taking that job seriously.
That's the point I wanted to bring up, is so much of this that in everyday life we probably wouldn't encounter. But when you fold in the alcohol and the summertime and the kind of laissez-faire approach to it, people are around a pool, they're having a party, they're drinking, they're not as aware. And also, if they fall in, they're not as capable to handle a situation, too.
Exactly.
I'm curious when something might happen like this, and I hate to keep this in this kind of sad area space. Somebody falls into a pool, you notice it, you get them out of the pool. Of course, the first thing I'm assuming everyone should do is call 911, should be first and foremost.
Yes.
I know from calling 911 a number of times there is a delay before the time they get there. What should you be doing in that interim time?
So the first thing is, if someone's been pulled out of a pool, and I'm assuming if we're asking this question, they're not talking, they're not coughing, they're unconscious, they've had a drowning, near drowning experience. The first thing that you do is you pinch off their nose and you give them 2 rescue breaths. So you breathe into their mouth for them. And then if they start to cough and choke and hopefully get some of that water out, you put them on their side. If they do not have a pulse, if they are not moving, if they do not seem to be breathing, you start CPR.
Okay.
So
everyone should get their CPR training.
Everyone should get their CPR training. But, and it's not even, if you don't have time to get CPR training, because I get that. It's something that hopefully someone's never going to have to use, or maybe they did ages ago when they were babysitting and things like that. Go online. There's all sorts of American Heart Association fun videos that will review hands-only CPR and how to compress someone's chest, what speed, how often do you press on their chest, where do you press on their chest, and you can review that in like less than 2 minutes. And it's even, some of the videos are even silly and fun, and they'll help kind of give you memory things so that if you are ever in that emergency situation, that you're ready to start CPR even before they answer the phone, even before the dispatcher gets on with you.
Fire's another thing, because we always think about that during Christmas with Christmas trees and fireplaces, but summer's also a time when we have to be cautious about fires.
The grills and the fireworks, they keep us busy in the ER. Lots of burn-related injuries, and then also, sadly, structures will light on fire with unsafe grilling. So we all have to keep in mind that it's not just, just don't touch the grill, but it's also, where is your grill? Grill cannot be right up next to your house, especially if it's a gas grill. It can cause carbon monoxide poisoning. Carbon monoxide does not care that there is a wall. Carbon monoxide goes right through the wall of your garage or your home. So if you've got a grill that's a gas grill and it's producing carbon monoxide and it's sitting right next to the outside wall of your home, it doesn't need a door. It doesn't need a window. It can go right in. Or worse, sometimes we see gas grills set up right next to AC intake units. And if the air is being pumped into the house from the air conditioner where it's being poisoned with carbon monoxide, it is a real serious thing, and we see carbon monoxide injuries every year.
Ernie's got to move his grill right away. I already got lambasted the other day for having a gas grill as opposed to a charcoal grill.
Well,
and now,
they are more convenient. I have a gas grill.
But it's like right wedged in at the side of my house.
Of course it is, right?
Yeah.
You don't want it in the middle of your yard.
About 5 feet away from the intake for the AC. Boy,
Yeah,
I never even thought about it.
Do better, Ernie.
I will try.
Okay.
What Especially if you're having a party and you're grilling.
Oh, were you?
I'm not talking about that. I want to go back to burns for a minute before we go to Doris's horrible area of questioning.
Sorry.
Burns, how to treat a burn. What's the best thing, especially with fireworks in a couple of weeks,
Sure. So, the number one firework that causes burns are sparklers. We all think they're so benign, but that is a metal stick that is going to be like molten lava at the end of it. There's a reason it's that beautiful little sparks and explosions. It is hot. It is way hotter than just like a match or a typical flame. So please be careful with sparklers. I say any kids under 8 are not allowed to have anything in their hand that's on fire, and that includes a sparkler. But we do see a lot of burns with fireworks and with grills. And the number one thing when you get burned is to immediately start cooling that burn. You can make a real difference in the level of depth and how severe that burn is just by putting it under the cool water in the tap. That is enough. You don't put ice on it. Don't put a cold pack on it. That might feel good, but it's actually too cold. In the same way the hydrogen peroxide was impairing, healing because it was toxic to your skin, to your broken skin where the cut was. Well, the burned skin is also delicate and new, and it starts healing right away, and it just needs that cool tap water. No ice, no cold packs. Just put it under the cold tap water for 20 minutes, and that burn's going to be a lot less and a lot better than it would have been otherwise.
I don't want to endorse a product here, but there is something I keep in my kitchen all the time. It's a bottle called Burn Gel.
Okay.
And it's you squeeze it out, and it kind of comes out as almost like a gel, a clear gel.
Okay.
Right on the burn.
Is it aloe?
Does it work? No, it has worked amazingly. I have never come across anything that it gives instant relief to it, and if you just leave it on there, I've never had it like blister up or get worse. And I don't know what's in it. I got a sample bottle 20 years ago, and I always buy a new one.
It does sound lovely and magical. It probably has a topical anesthetic, like something that helps with the pain of the burn. Mm-hmm. And then it probably keeps the area nice and moisturized because it's got that gel, so it's probably got some moisture in it. And I would assume it probably has some aloe vera in it, which is a nice way to naturally...
It's a fast-acting hydrogel designed to cool, soothe, and temporarily relieve pain from minor first-degree burns and sunburns. Yeah.
If you have a burn that has already blistered, something like that is not going to help you. But if it hasn't had a big blister, that sounds great.
Sunburns.
Ooh.
While we're there.
All right.
We're going to be out there, and they're going to say, I always say, I'm working on my base coat, so I'm not putting anything on.
I have no base. I burn, I freckle, and then I become pale again. That is my cycle.
Order?
And I just wear a lot of sunscreen and stay out of the sun.
What sunscreen am I supposed to be at? What number?
So, there really isn't a lot of evidence that a sunscreen over 30 does anything different than any other sunscreen. What does make a difference are the physical sunscreens, the ones that say mineral, because those are a physical barrier. There's no there are chemicals, but they're not reliant upon some of the chemical interactions that they'll say UVA, UVB. If you see a chemical barrier, and honestly, for all the parents out there, those are the ones you put on your kids, and they are white, and you start rubbing it in, and you're like, you got to rub that stuff in for like 10 minutes, and the kid is squirming and like, Mom, stop. But that is the sunscreen, that kind of thicker, more solid, that physical barrier sunscreen.
Can you go swimming with it, or once you've got in the water,
you
gotta
can.
Reapply?
A lot of them are water resistant, but they do say that you got to reapply when you get out of the pool.
Always reapply. That's the one I used to use on my kids all the time. But when they got older, they moved to the sprays. Do you have a call?
No, but I have to wrap this segment. We're out of time.
You did that on purpose. I wanted to know about the snakes and the ticks and everything else. You got to come back.
All right, I'll come back. We'll do snakes and ticks.
Okay, I won't be here when you talk snakes. Dr. Hilary Fairbrother is a professor in the Department of Emergency Medicine at UTHealth Houston's McGovern's Medical School. Doctor, thank you so much.
It was
Very
a pleasure.
enlightening.
Thank you.
Coming up, we're going to talk filmmaking right here in Houston with Greg Carter. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
Good morning. The United States.
Meet Gamola, songwriter, world-class violinist, and award-winning multi-genre artist. We just took his keys for the day and gave him a Ride Metro fare card. Visit ridemetro.org/Gamola to learn more about his ride.
Dark Horse versus Cinderella matchup. The top 3 spots are still up for grabs in Group F. Japan and Netherlands sit just 1 point ahead of Sweden, and every goal matters. Japan will meet Sweden in Dallas, while Netherlands face already eliminated Tunisia in Kansas City. Then tonight, the United States gets a group stage encore in Los Angeles. They've already won the group and face Turkey, who are already eliminated. Paraguay and Australia play simultaneously for second place in the group. From Wednesday's action, Vinicius Jr. scored twice as Brazil put Scotland's knockout hopes in doubt. Morocco's talent won out over a scrappy Haiti side, though Scotland in third still has an outside shot at the playoff round. Switzerland beat Canada to top their group. Canada finished second, while Bosnia and Herzegovina beat Qatar to lead all third-place teams for now. And the night's biggest shock, South Africa, who started Wednesday in last place, upset South Korea to claim an automatic knockout berth. Mexico celebrated a dominant group stage with another win in front of an adoring home crowd, and goalkeeper Memo Ochoa joined Ronaldo and Messi as the only players to ever appear in 6 World Cups. I'm Jimmy Moss.
Support for soccer tournament coverage comes from SPF 1000 Vampire Sunscreen, the podcast that asks, what is the darkness to you? Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Ernie Manouse and guest host Doris Childress.
Sugar Beach is an award-winning independent coming-of-age film about love, loss, and self-discovery. Set in a small beach town, the film follows a young valedictorian who finds refuge from her grief in a throuple relationship, which becomes challenged by the world around them. As they navigate countless struggles, including cyberbullying, substance abuse, complex family relationships, and more. The film will be playing in select theaters across the country starting tomorrow, June 26th. To tell us more about Sugar Beach, we're joined by director Noely Mendoza and producer, Houston filmmaker Greg Carter. Welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you.
I got to just start off with the word we had in the read, throuple. That's new to me. Somebody explain it. And how does it factor into this kind of Gen Z narrative?
Well, I think one of the things that made the script really interesting to me when I met Noely and, of course, Zoe, who's the lead, is that there is a lot of fluidity in relationships with their generation, and so we come from a very pragmatic view of male, female. You're either a girlfriend or you're a fiance or you're a wife. There are many subtle layers in Gen Z of how that's handled, and that's something that I begin to understand and saw the power in it in the way that they identify.
Noely, do you think this story could have been told through another generation's lens? We're talking about Gen Z, but could it still work with Gen X or the Alpha generation?
Well, I can't speak to other generations, but I will say that I think that there's something for everyone in the story. And I think learning about different ways of love is beneficial for everyone. And also, I think people are nostalgic about high school, and it's a time when people are more free and you're willing to try more things.
Well, Noely, I think part of even where Doris is going with the question, there seems as though there's this generation now, as Greg was just talking about, where they see relationships slightly differently than so structured as they were in the past. And so that these stories can be placed upon this generation in a much more realistic and exploratory way that maybe we didn't have in previous generations or how they were looked at. What I'm wondering is the environment in which a show like Euphoria is out there, does that make it easier for a story like this to be told, or even, I guess it was Champions? It seems like these stories are out there for that audience today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think nowadays kids feel a little bit more free to explore, and we're not tied to the same societal expectations that were once more, maybe more enforced, or there were more repercussions per se. And the media landscape right now, I think, is reflective of how free this new generation is. Mm-hmm. And the film I think you're talking about is Challengers. But absolutely, for sure.
Greg, when you looked at the script, what drew you in?
Well, when I was that age, I was thinking of a movie called Less Than Zero, and it kind of felt, I kind of felt a connection to how there were many different ways that our parents saw us, and so I felt that it was timely in that, that voice needed to be heard. I thought Zoe wrote a fantastic script, and then the way that, as a producer, you want to try to support, but you also don't want to hinder.
Mm-hmm.
You want to step out of the way and let your cast and your crew find the path, find their story, because it's so easy so many times for us just to kind of jump in. Well, no, you need to do this, and sometimes you have to think. You could be more helpful by taking off the guardrails and letting it happen.
What was the plan or the focus or the goal in handling grief in this film? Because sometimes when films or any narrative is handling grief, they tend to fall into that melodramatic, stereotypical way of grieving. What way did you approach it that you think will be authentic to the audience that is watching?
I think the one thing that I saw that Noely did was she did a brilliant job of handling the nuances of this multicultural environment that they found themselves in. The main character, Rosalind, she's biracial. And so there are different ways that we, as someone, when I say we, I mean more African American, would think about it. Like there's things that I remember watching these TV shows and I would see, like more Anglo kids just like really let their parents have it and be like, you're still living? Like, how are you not dead now?
Yeah.
And so when you see the fluidity of the relationship between the mother and the daughter and they're going through it, I just love the way that Noely handled that because she allowed there to be those moments that are a little bit shocking.
Noely, what were you drawing on? Because he's singing your praise on how you handled it.
So we definitely wanted to portray grief as something that was nonlinear. It's a nonlinear journey. It comes back in waves and it gets repressed oftentimes, and that unfolds also later in life in a more complex and oftentimes it can come back and kind of like take over, right? When people aren't exactly expecting it. And also something that I really wanted to stay true to my background in documentary filmmaking is I wanted it to be very real and rooted in honesty and realism. So it didn't feel sensationalized or we were exploiting these emotions for these characters.
As you talk about that, and you may have just answered this question, but I'm curious, a lot of attention on this film is going toward the throuple part of it or things like that. From the director point of view, what was most challenging area for you to explore that you thought you could add a new voice to?
I would say, I didn't find it particularly challenging. I think once I did my research, and I myself would not identify as polyamorous, but that was something that I learned like along the way, in which it's almost like a type of sexuality where you're capable of loving more than one person. And there's a type of love where you're okay with seeing your partner engage with another person, and that brings you love. And something else that we were like extremely focused on making sure that we didn't portray was jealousy in that kind of relationship as well.
Mm-hmm. Greg, thoughts?
Yeah,
I saw your reaction to it.
Yeah,
he's got something to say.
No, okay. Well, one of the things that we, I was always skirting the idea is that these are really the roles, the characters themselves are young. They basically just had birthdays. They just turned 18. And so, I wanted to make sure that when we were handling this really sensitive material, that it didn't come off as some type of provocateur kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
And that's really interesting because I think, we all have to deal with, I'm the son of a preacher, right? So I come from and I'm from the South. I'm one of the most conservative as you can get, right? But I also, wanted to know that, the material, particularly some of the more intimate scenes and different things, that were going to be handled in such a way that, no one's going to look back and say, hey, man, I can't believe I did that or whatever. No, I wanted people to know that they were safe to explore. And I'm hope gave Noely and the crew and everybody room to do that.
Okay, they're telling me we've got to be out. And also, it's not just that. There's cyberbullying, as Doris said, substance abuse, family relations. There's a lot explored in this film. Thank you both very much for coming out and joining us. Sugar Beach will be playing in select theaters across the Houston area and nationwide starting tomorrow. Congratulations, folks. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Hello, Houston.
Stay tuned. There's more Hello Houston on the way. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at HoustonPublicMedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Karbach Brewing, makers of Hopadillo IPA, hosting summer soccer at Karbach, featuring live matches on a 14-foot LED screen, along with internationally inspired food and drink offerings.
Tonight on Houston Public Media TV8, a night of mystery and intrigue with Father Brown at 7, followed by the Sister Boniface Mysteries at 8 and Death in Paradise at 9. Tonight on Houston Public Media TV8. This is your NPR station, KUHF. Houston. News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston. It's 12 o'clock.
Just ahead on this hour of Hello Houston, Camp Mystic has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy relief, according to court records. The filing pauses lawsuits filed by families of victims who allege Camp Mystic failed to adequately prepare for or respond to the flooding. We'll discuss this and more of today's top stories as we continue with the headlines. I'm Ernie Manouse.
And I'm guest host Doris Childress. Joining us today is relationship expert Dr. Viviana Coles, who is here to explain how couples can replace occasional romance with lasting everyday connections.
Plus, it's Thursday, which could mean only one thing. It's time for all of us to share our latest current obsessions, and we want to hear from you. Start emailing them to us right now at talk@hellohouston.org.
Or call or text them to us at 713-440-8870.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, by Metro, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Louise Schiavone. The Supreme Court has voted 6-3 to greatly alter the landscape for people with temporary protected status, the program known as TPS. The justices gave the Trump administration the green light to end that program and begin mass deportations of people who've been living and working legally in the U.S. for years. 17 countries have the designation. The justices ruled to overturn a jury verdict for a Missouri man who claimed the weed killer Roundup caused his cancer. NPR's Carrie Johnson reports they said state claims are preempted by federal pesticide law.
Justice Brett Kavanaugh delivered the 7-2 court ruling, which hands a victory to Monsanto and its new owner, Bayer. The company had been facing billions of dollars in claims over glyphosate, the key ingredient in its popular weed killer. The court majority says federal law overrides lawsuits in state courts over the company's alleged failure to warn about the product. Plaintiff lawyers say the Supreme Court's now given a shield to corporate America and slammed the courthouse doors on people sickened by pesticides. The Trump administration sided with Bayer in the case. Consumer advocates worry the ruling will shift power from states trying to protect residents when federal regulations fall short. Carrie Johnson, NPR News.
Venezuela is responding to the effects of two powerful earthquakes. At least 164 people have died. Hundreds have been injured. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. is sending search and rescue teams.
That's their most immediate need right now is search and rescue efforts. They have a bunch of collapsed buildings, and so they'll need a lot of help in terms of digging through that. The airport there is badly damaged, so we'll have to rely on the Department of War to deploy assets there. And then we're also helping them with some overhead imagery, especially in coastal areas where they don't have full visibility over what the damage has been and what the impact has been.
Secretary of State Rubio. The Army general leading U.S. forces in Europe and Africa will retire abruptly. NPR's Quill Lawrence reports General Chris Donahue was the last U.S. soldier to leave Afghanistan in 2021.
General Donahue is a combat-decorated veteran of U.S. wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria. He served in Special Forces and led the elite Delta Force. To the public, he may be best known from a blurry night vision photograph of him as the last American soldier to depart Afghanistan during the chaotic withdrawal of U.S. forces under the Biden administration. Some critics on social media have blamed Donahue without evidence for the casualties during that pullout. It appears Donahue's departure makes him the latest highly regarded general to be pushed out by Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who has blocked dozens of flag officers from promotion. In April, Hegseth angered lawmakers from both parties when he fired Army Chief of Staff General Randy George without explanation. Quill Lawrence, NPR News.
This is NPR.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Gail DeLauder. Parents say they still have questions about changes to HISD's special education services. The district is consolidating special education services, and that'll require some students to transfer. The move prompted a federal investigation. Monica Cavazos Rosa's son has autism.
I mean, I was devastated. This whole summer has had a dark cloud over it because, we weren't sure what was going to happen.
Parents say they're considering their options and hopes their kids won't have to transfer. Meanwhile, HISD's board is expected to vote tonight on the district's $2 billion budget. Harris County commissioners have appointed a new executive director for the Harris County Flood Control District. News 88.7 Sarah Gruno has more.
Harris County commissioners have appointed Marcus Stuckett as the next executive director of the Harris County Flood Control District. They discussed the appointment briefly in executive session on Thursday before commissioners approved his appointment. Stuckett is the associate vice president of a local engineering firm that has done work for the county. The former director, Tina Peterson, submitted her resignation letter earlier this month after facing pressure to address delayed flood bond projects. Stuckett's firm is doing work on one of those delayed projects.
It was a record for the University of Houston men's basketball team as 3 players were selected during the NBA draft.
With the 45th pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Sacramento Kings select Emmanuel Sharp from the University of Houston.
The audio of NBA Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum is courtesy of ESPN. Sharp is an all-time three-point leader for the Cougars. He joins an NBA draft class that includes former teammates Kingston Flemings and Chris Senat Jr. The Astros are in Detroit for a 4-game series against the Tigers. First pitch is at 5:40. Partly cloudy skies this afternoon over our high today should be around 93 degrees. I'm Gail DeLauder, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Progressive Insurance, working to help protect small businesses and the owners that run them, offering customizable coverages to salons, accounting firms, tradespeople, and more. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com.
Live from Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Hello Houston with Ernie Manouse.
But I cannot do it alone. And my dear friend, award-winning journalist and television and radio personality in the Houston area, and a professor. We need to talk about you teaching. Doris Childress is in with me today in the guest host chair. Teaching. We just did a segment about this movie, Sugar Beach, and we were talking about that generation of kids. What do you see in the classroom? How are kids today?
Very interesting, but very, very smart.
Yeah.
These kids are really
You're over at TSU.
I'm over at Texas Southern University. What I have found is that we don't give them enough credit for being as smart as they are. We rag on them, older generations. We do.
Kids.
Oh,
they don't
they're
know
this,
anything.
they don't know.
Yeah.
But they are well studied, well versed in whatever they are talking about. And what I do love about this generation is they require that you have done your homework before you get in front of them to talk. And if you have not, they will call you out. Yeah, I mean, it's a great group of kids.
If you are in that generation, give us a call. We'd love to talk to you too. Earlier in the show, we were talking about items that you may have brought in because, the whole thing with the ranch dressing, and people are loving these visitors here for World Cup have discovered ranch dressing. So folks, we asked them what were some of the things that they've brought back. Before I get to some of the things people have brought in, I want to mention, we brought up the original ranch seasoning mix packages that are out there, and you were saying you use it to sprinkle on chicken and things like that, and I was like, can you make it into ranch dressing? So for our international listeners who are listening right now and you're here, you can probably get those packets of ranch dressing seasoning back across the pond easier, and I just mix it with 1 cup of milk and 1 cup of mayonnaise to get a regular standard Hidden Valley Ranch, or for restaurant style, 1 cup of buttermilk, 1 cup of mayonnaise, and the packet of seasoning.
With the buttermilk.
Buttermilk?
Yes, absolutely.
So there you go. Okay, now back to the other thing we were talking about. What are some of the things you have snuck into this country when you've brought back with you, unlike ranch dressing? So one person, I'm not going to give their names because I don't want to show them, but they put them out in public. But anyway, I brought back brass knuckles from Italy in high school. Rules were so laxed in 2003.
Oh, my goodness.
Brass knuckles. I wouldn't want to be on that flight. My British computer. I just said I wasn't going to say their names.
But you did, but go ahead.
I would share with you that I brought back from France, but I would share with you what I brought back from France, but I don't know what the statute of limitations is, so it will remain a mystery for now.
Let's keep that quiet.
So sorry I said your name. This is obvious because it's Wine Goddess, Texas. I brought back bottles of wine, balsamic vinegar, olive oil, Dijon mustard, tinned fish, and pate. But you did all your shopping when you were over there.
That tinned fish or that canned fancy fish is really, really popular. My daughter is just like ordering it, and she's going like, oh, it's so good. But I keep thinking sardines, and I'm not a sardine girl.
We had Mimi call us from Welcome, Texas. She said, a long time ago in 1969, my sister tried to bring our pet turtle to Belgium underneath her hat. It didn't work because it peed on her head. Also, my grandmother would bring sausages to the U.S. from Belgium.
Ooh.
That's interesting.
I'd risk it for that.
And you've never tried to smuggle anything back?
No. I don't break the rules, Ernie.
I know. You're a rule abider.
I'm a goody two-shoes.
Yeah, you kind of are.
Sometimes.
But you do have an edge to you. People
I
don't
do.
always
I
know
do.
about that.
In my older age, I'm getting a little edgier,
You talk about the kids today and how they're going to hold you to it when
they
when
do.
You talk. I kind of see as I'm getting older, I'm kind of like given no cares. I'm going to say what I think. I'm going to confront you.
I don't even know if you're at that age yet, Ernie.
I think I'm getting there.
You know what else those kids will do? I make it a habit of dressing really neat and stylish because they will call you out. They were describing another professor, and they go, Professor Shoes. And I know what that meant. That meant she had bad shoes, and it will rest on you forever.
Oh, I can't even imagine what they'd say about that. I'm not going around young people.
But Gen Z kids are the kids of Gen Xers, and Gen Xers will do and say anything.
Another question, we had our poll question was up. That was, if the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo were open all year, how often would you go? Doris, what's your answer? If there was a Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo going on all year long, would you go once a year, maybe a few times a year, only for concerts or special events, or I'd be there often?
I'd be there often because there's a concert, then there's a traditional rodeo scene, and then I'm going to propose, and I hope you're listening, holiday rodeo. Holiday rodeo. Think about it. Christmas on the ranch. Christmas. Come on.
We just hit half a year till Christmas.
Yes,
we're halfway there.
I knew that.
Okay, so what did our pollies say? Well, the winnings are once a year is enough. 41% of them. Yep. Maybe a few times a year, 29%. Only for concerts and special events, 24%. And only 6% are with you. I'd be there often.
But they haven't had the experience.
They haven't had Christmas on the ranch yet.
That's what
they
I'm
haven't
talking.
had your holiday planning. So
trademark
that's coming up.
that.
Also, coming up, we had talked a little bit about some issues of relationships in our last interview. Coming up, Dr. Viviana Coles is going to be here to talk romance and relationships and how to keep the love alive during the summers. I'm also guessing during the summer there's a lot more stress, especially if you're in a family situation that the husband and wife, the couple at the top of the chain, probably are very distracted with the kids around and the pets and the summertime activities and all that. It must be hard to get that quality time.
It can
You
be.
have children and a husband, so
And pets.
I'm going to ask you about that in a little bit. How you find me time?
Okay.
But we'll wait for Dr.
I'll
Viviana
answer.
Cole. You will? Oh, good. I want to know. All time is me time in my world. Anyway, back into the show. Let's go to some more serious stuff. The news of the world is always going on around us. It's not always happy and frivolous, but that's why we're here to talk about those stories as well. Doris, take us into the headlines.
Yes, this is a serious one. Camp Mystic has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy relief. According to court records, the case was filed in U.S. Bankruptcy Court in the Southern District of Texas in Houston on Wednesday by an attorney on behalf of Camp Mystic. The move follows multiple lawsuits by families alleging that the camp failed to protect campers and counselors. 25 campers, 2 counselors, and Dick Eastland, camp owner and executive director, died when the Guadalupe River flooded nearly a year ago. According to Austin American-Statesman, the filing pauses lawsuits filed by families of victims who allege Camp Mystic failed to adequately prepare for and respond to the flooding. Paul Yetter, a Houston attorney representing 7 families suing the camp over their daughter's death, told the paper in the court fight that the bankruptcy will not stop all responsible parties from being held accountable. He said that these innocent girls deserve justice. What are your thoughts on this bankruptcy filing, and should the lawsuits continue? Call or text us at 713-440-8870.
Some stuff to unpack here and just curiosities for me. And it's the whole idea of filing for bankruptcy. Is it because they are, as we think of the term bankrupt, that they have nothing left and so bankruptcy is the only alternative? Or is it to avoid the lawsuits? I think by making the public plea of bankruptcy, then that will dissuade lawsuits. But that's why I think also the lawyer approached it to say that won't stop us from going after responsible parties in this. The thing that I think is I just didn't see a path forward for Camp Mystic.
I did not. Trying to reopen as a business, I get the business wants to reopen. But when you look at the human side of it, how can you? That's just my personal opinion. Even when you send your girl there, if it reopens, are you going to be worried the whole time?
Oh, I can't even imagine,
I just don't know. And I know for some people it is a family tradition, long-standing tradition that your girl goes there. But in light of this tragedy, do we move to something different?
If Camp Something Else were to open in that space, I don't think that would work either. I think that area needs to be memorialized for those that we
it becomes
lost.
like sacred ground.
And for the memory of Camp Mystic, not for... And I would think if Camp Mystic opened somewhere else, I don't think it would work. I think it would have to be a different camp in a different location, and then this organization may be able to move forward. But I just think there are those certain moments that things are tied to other things, and you can't erase the memories.
Well, you think about 9/11 and the towers.
Well, I was surprised they rebuilt on the location. And they didn't rebuild exactly on the footprint of the original building, and they didn't do 2 towers.
Right.
That was intentional. And their point for rebuilding was to say, we have to show our resolute strength against terror and say, you won't break us. And so they built a tower in that vicinity.
But there's still the memorial there to recognize what happened, not just reopen the camp and business as usual.
Right, just didn't. And when they were talking about that, I just couldn't see that happening. And I'm curious, what do you think? 713-440-8870. Would you, and I'll ask you this, Doris, would you send your daughters to a place called Camp Mystic with the memory that's attached to it, even if it's in a different location?
I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But I'm also one of those parents that I went to camp and volunteered with my kids for everything they went to because, I was a helicopter mom. So even going to a different camp with that, I just couldn't
Yeah, I wonder.
I think as a parent, I would be still worried.
Yeah.
Even though I'm trying to keep this tradition alive and trying to keep, because it was an important camp.
Right.
In the community and, in Texas, even though you want to keep the memory alive and the legacy alive, I think parents would still be upset, still be worried, still have second thoughts. Yeah. Even if you sent your daughter, you would have second thoughts.
I also think about family-run businesses, and I think we sometimes assume that they are financially more stable than they are, where oftentimes it's always the next paying customer actually supports the organization. And so when you think to say things like, well, they should put a memorial there. Well, this is a piece of land an organization owns. What happens to them? It's not as easy to just buy another piece of land. What makes me curious, and not in any way am I saying that they're not responsible or whatever, I'm just from a pure money point of view, I'm wondering, insurance, what kind of insurance was Camp Mystic able to get, or does that all still hold into how all these lawsuits play out? If liability is found for the people at the camp at certain levels, does that then end their ability to claim insurance money? Also, what about families and their insurance? Did they have to have policies on these poor children, or does the camp have a policy of insurance that pays out to parents? I'm not sure how any of that works.
I know there's some kind of insurance with every camp. And I also wonder, what was their relationship with finances with the parents, like for burial,
Right.
for, just not reimbursement for camp, but just some gesture to help them memorialize or bury their child. Right. Was that some effort, or was it just, it happened, we're going to go our separate ways and see how it falls out legally?
Listen, I wonder then, take that back to where I started this conversation, was about depending on the legality of it, by filing bankruptcy, and they think that could dissuade lawsuits coming, would that then play into the insurance? Because if they're in court and there are findings that put more responsibility back onto the camp, that could hurt insurance payouts maybe. I don't know all of it. 713-440-8870. Rob is on the line from downtown. Rob, what's on your mind?
Hello all, and I'm glad the show's still going, Ernie.
Oh, thank you.
I think you reopen at some time that's appropriate. It served the community in the state of Texas for many girls for many, many years. As someone who's gone to many camps as a scout, I could see that it would be adding to memorialize the girls that went there, and it could be done in a respectful way. I do think a lot of people are complicit in this issue, from the elected officials in the community to the owners of the property, and unfortunately the owner passed away too. And it was a complete tragedy and an act of nature that we haven't seen in quite some time, and things do need to change in that regard. So my thought is to honor the girls and the people who worked there over the ages, reopen with a memorial and something of substance, so that memory won't die, that it gave a lot to the community.
Rob, thank you for your comments and your thoughts, and thank you for your kind words about our show continuing, too. Yeah.
I mean, that's a nice gesture.
Right.
To memorialize the girls and, in their memory, but still you have to think about that family. Do they want that? You know, it's really tricky.
It's a very difficult situation. 713-440-8870. Callie is on the line from the Heights. Callie, what's on your mind?
Hey, guys, I just wanted to call and say that during this entire time, I was surprised that the camp and other camper families continue to push the reopen of the camp. I found it egregious, disgusting, and anyone that was pushing for that, when that ground is now hallowed, as you guys have, continued to say, it's disgusting, and they should be ashamed of themselves. Live with that, because if that were your child, I think you feel quite different. So tradition out the window, okay? It's great. We have a lot of traditions in Texas, but we're talking about girls who died, who didn't have to.
Callie, thank you for your comments and your thoughts. We're interested in what all of our audience has to say, your thoughts and opinions on this topic as we continue to chat with each other about it. 713-440-8870. Yeah, I mean, I go back to what we were talking about a moment ago, which is I think that there's something about that space now, and I know it has a long, rich history to it. I'm trying to think of anything in my life where it means something in the history that's there, that if something tragic happened in that location, would I fight to keep the old memory alive, or does the new situation just alter it beyond redemption in some ways. And I think the death of that many people, just the horrific situation of what happened there. Can you come back there? How would you function in that space without that being a constant reminder?
Reminder.
I just don't know how it functions.
Yeah, I kind of feel what this caller said. Sometimes we just keep the memory of what it was and move forward in light of what happened.
Mm-hmm. It's a difficult situation.
Because I know
anyway.
if it were Mackenzie and Morgan, I would be fighting to keep it closed. I know that may be unpopular, but as a parent, that's where I would be.
We had a comment come in from our YouTubers. Surely federal inspectors would also be to blame. It would have been their job to ensure safety compliance. So, yeah. Anyway, it's a difficult situation. We'll see what happens as it plays out. We'll see if there will continue to be these lawsuits, if they're going to continue to do that, even with the bankruptcy, as they imply they're going to, and what happens from there.
I wonder how it's going to impact just general camp life for kids.
Yeah, well, I'm sure this year parents look differently at sending their kids to camp. I can't see how you wouldn't. And that I think there are different questions asked this time, too, when you send your kids to camp. And so we always look to the silver lining or the best out of something horrific, and maybe more attention to safety for children is going to be the outcome of this, and camp regulations may be the outcome to it, and warning symbols and all of that. We'll see. Coming up, we're going to switch gears, and we're going back to relationship. Dr. Viviana Coles will be with us again, answering romance questions, and we'd like you to join the conversation. 713-440-8870. Get those questions ready. We're ready to ask them. Coming up next on Hello Houston.
We know you value Houston Public Media. That's why you're watching right now. So take the next step and become a new member of the station you rely on. Every gift makes a difference. And what matters most right now is supporting the station that brings you the news and information you rely on. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. So join as a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
Houston Matters is your essential daily guide to the people, places, issues, and ideas that define Greater Houston.
Vulnerable households that have less of a means to recover from a flood, have less money to do it, are concentrated in the highest flood risk neighborhoods.
There's never going to be a perfect moment to come out or reveal something about yourself. There's never going to be a perfect moment to call somebody you haven't spoken to in years. Don't wait for all the stars to align.
I'm Craig Cohen. Join us for the next Houston Matters, weekday mornings at 9 here on News 88.7.
Property taxes. Nobody likes paying them, and a whole list of states are thinking about getting rid of them.
I think other places are looking to Wyoming and saying, can they do it? We have proven that we can't do it.
I'm Kai Rizdal. What else you got to cut when you cut taxes? That's next time on Marketplace.
You can listen to Marketplace coming up tonight at 6:30.
On the podcast After the Flood from the Texas Newsroom and PBS's Frontline, we meet people who survived last year's floods in the Hill Country and those who lost loved ones. And we try to answer the questions they still have. After the Flood, out now.
Support comes from Metro. World Cup planning includes transit improvements intended to serve Houston after the final match. Metro provides bus, rail, and paratransit service and continues mobility enhancements across the region. More at ridemetro.org/Metro now.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870. or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Ernie Manouse and guest host Doris Childress.
Relationships often get a boost around special occasions, vacations, or big romantic gestures. But what happens after the excitement fades? Today we're talking with Dr. Viviana Coles, Doctor of Marriage and Family Therapy, about why connections can sometimes drop off after those relationship high points, the difference between occasional romance and everyday intimacy, and the small realistic habits that keep couples feeling close again. Dr. Coles, welcome back to Hello Houston. Hey, if If you want to join our conversation, call or text us at 713-440-8870. Free advice today.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy. I won't be.
We're jumping right into it with what is the difference between occasional romance and this routine intimacy.
Okay, so I'm a big fan of both. There is no wrong way to do
So we don't
romance.
have to choose.
You don't have to choose. And hopefully in a long-term relationship, you have a blend of both. Occasional romance, that's when you are celebrating something, you're intentionally trying to make a big gesture. Again, everyone loves that. And if they'd say that they don't, they're lying.
I thought so.
But when it comes to the daily, that's what's really going to keep the glue of the relationship, especially when life is trying to pull you apart or trying to get in between you. If you have that consistent, what I call pillow talk, it's the underlying current of sensuality between you, then life can try, but it's not going to really tear you apart. Stressors like kids, money, work, not sleeping, all of those things on a daily basis are attacking relationships.
The word routine right in front of intimacy.
It sounds bad.
This does not sound good to me. Because routine sounds like redundancy, something that it's just blah, 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 blah.
Well, and sometimes routine can turn into boredom, stagnation, and that's not what we're talking about. Well, we're talking about something that is more reliable, consistent, that both of you are pouring into.
Isn't one of the biggest problems, though, and here it comes from my point of view on this topic, that people fall into this false idea that everything has to be like the honeymoon stage, that it's going to be this full romance, and that as marriage continues, that drifts away, that calms down, and then people are like, oh, well, that's not. And that successful marriages are the ones who realize there's transition into a different way of being with your partner.
100%. That's when most couples really drop the ball, is when that initial neurological and physiological connection and pushing towards each other starts to turn into something that's more long lasting. That is when couples say, oh, maybe this means that things aren't right and we're just not compatible and we shouldn't be together.
So what should you be looking for? What is the romance you should be expecting and the intimacy you should be expecting 5, 10, 15 years into a relationship that may not be as it was when you first got together?
Something that can be really romantic is knowing that you are choosing and that you're being chosen on a daily basis. That is hot. That is warm.
Doris just gave me a point.
Yes. So, and a lot of that needs to happen through words and actions. And of course, there are nonverbal cues that you can always be doing. But most people are rolling their eyes and huffing and puffing and ignoring each other. And that's why they end up at my office at Houston Relationship Therapy.
But what if you have one person who is extreme spark and then you have the other person who's dedicated routine? How do the two balance it?
Yeah. So if you can share that, look, this is what the spark looks like for me. This is what feeling wanted looks like for me. This is what feeling desired looks like for me. Can you take a little page from my book and do that for me once a week, once a month? Just at some point. It's when somebody is fixed and says, you don't need that because I don't need that, that's when there's a problem. Hopefully you didn't marry somebody who's exactly like you and needs everything exactly like you. It sounds like it'd be fun, but it gets boring real fast.
What happens when your partner just disgusts you? And I ask this question because I think we all hit that point where I don't ever want to see this person again. They are just working my last nerve. Mm-hmm. How long can that last in a relationship before we've got to address it?
Ooh, okay. I'm going to say don't let that happen for longer than 6 months. I mean,
6 months?
Ideally,
you give them 6?
Ideally, you come in after 6 hours, but no. But this is the thing. For people who are not, okay, you know what? At the first sign of an issue, I'm going to go get professional help because I just don't want this to fall apart or deteriorate further. I do have to say 6 months because for them, they're like, well, we should be able to do this on our own. Okay, try it. Guess what? At 6 months, you're going to be on the verge and then you'll try anything, which therapy should not be the last ditch effort. But I will say people who come to see me are often going to call it quits.
And I bring it up just for the point that it is natural to have moments where the person that's most connected to you, you just really need distance from. There is ebb and flow of this in life.
Such
I
a
think
nuance.
you're right, but then
I'm just a horrible person.
No, you're not a horrible person. But I love the point when you say you have to put in the work. Because when you're most mad at that person or you don't want to see them or hear them breathe, you have to remind yourself why I love you.
Or you might be going through menopause.
Oh, my God.
That happens a lot, too. So here's the thing.
Give men advice for that.
Oh, gosh, that's a whole other episode for sure.
See you on the next time.
Yeah, exactly. But let's go into this. This person disgusts me. That is a narrative that has to be fed in order to last. We could always look at anyone else in our lives and pick them apart and make them into the trolls that our body and mind say that they are. Or we can choose to say, you know what? That's special about you. That was nice. You've got great hair. You've got great skin. I love your legs. Whatever it is, to make them more attractive to us. Now, that doesn't mean you're gaslighting yourself, which, again, some people do. That's not what I'm saying, is that life can make it to where you see everything through a filter that is negative, and you just don't want that permeating into your relationship. You have to protect your relationship and guard it. And that's what people who are going on Instagram and looking at what other relationships are doing, they start to compare. It's awful.
Yeah, don't.
It's awful for your relationship.
Don't gauge your life on what you see online. I've got an email that came, and I
go
want to
ahead.
remind everyone that you can send your questions if you don't want to call to talk@hellohouston.org, or you can give us a call right now at 713-440-8870. We're talking with Dr. Viviana Coles, a doctor of marriage and family therapy. And the question that came in, or the email that came in, it's a serious one. I recently found out my partner of 4 years is HIV positive. Not once was this discussed or disclosed. We have been in a committed relationship and have not practiced our intimacy safely. While my status is negative, I feel betrayed and lied to. They go on, but the big question, I guess, is I'm unsure how I should be dealing with this newfound information.
Oh my goodness. First of all, I'm so sorry for that level of betrayal, because that is absolutely a far-reaching trauma and betrayal. This is something that, especially after 4 years, you would think it's not something you need to be talking about if you're in an exclusive monogamous relationship, of course. So what I would suggest is definitely reach out to a professional so you can tease out what's really going on for you, what you need, if there is anything that your partner can do to bring you back from this huge betrayal. It's not something that typically people can work on efficiently on their own. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and therapists, especially couples therapists with our training, we can really help you figure out what it is that your relationship needs to come back from something like this in a way that isn't going to set you up for either just settling or moving on too quickly.
They also ask that they want to make sense of the emotions they're feeling through.
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like you're allowed to feel all the emotions. This is very serious. It's scary. That and I'm very happy that they're both able to live, it sounds like, healthy in with their different statuses. But I would say right now there's a lot of looking back and saying, wait, what? How has this not come up? Why wouldn't you bring this up? And I would say maybe go to the doctor together, ask your questions together, what needs to happen going forward, because chances are, as you work through this, you're going to be back and forth with your romantic and your intimacy and all that. So you want to know how you can practice more healthy sexual experiences.
I want to pull this back further out.
Okay.
And I think because it's a very specific situation
is,
here,
yeah.
but I think it brings up a very common problem, which is trust in a relationship. And there can be a myriad of different things that break your trust within a relationship. How do you, or should you, rebuild trust when you feel betrayed or lied to salvage a relationship? And when should you know it's time to say, tuck it in and move on?
So let me tell you, the first thing I would say is what not to do. And that is to tell everyone, and your mother and your kids and everyone, and their job. And so many people just want to reach out and say, be on my team with this. And they do it within minutes. They don't even talk to their partner about what they're feeling. They just go out and they want to kind of get this clan together. I would say don't do that, because it really limits your experience of what you want. Your choices all of a sudden get funneled down to maybe 2 or 3 based off of what this new crew of yours is saying you need to do. So don't share it with everyone. I know that feels like it's contrary to what most people want to do, but you do want to reach out to a therapist. 100%. If I could tell so many of the couples, hundreds of couples that I've worked with through betrayal, they would all say, I wish I had made that first call to schedule something with you, because the things that I know, having gone through this with so many couples, it's invaluable to them. And it really does set them up for making the right choices going forward, whether it's together or separately. And then as far as wanting to know what you would need to work through to get out of it or stay, I would say consistency in behavior. If your partner is saying, I will never do this to you again, I will never lie to you in this way, but they're lying about where they are and how much they spent here, and that is not consistent. And it counts. A lot of people will say, well, I'm not cheating anymore, so let's move on. That is not the way that things work. You have to get in the trenches with your partner that you betrayed and walk them out of that. Just because you're not cheating doesn't mean it's all over.
I'm seeing a lot of people in, 70-year-olds in late 60s, all of a sudden calling it quits on their relationships of 50 years of marriage. What is happening? Because a lot of people say, well, you've been in it that long, just stick it out.
Yep.
So why aren't they just sticking it out? Why is that no longer an option? They're saying, I'm done. I'm
walking. The pillow talk is gone. And the negativity is so high that they're like, I don't want to spend the last 20, 30 years of my life, possibly 10, dealing with this. I want to be happy. I want to be calm. I want to find peace. If you don't bring me peace in these twilight years, I'm done. And I have seen several clients like that where they say, I'm going to see what happens within these next 6 months to a year. And if nothing changes or if things get worse, I'm out, because that's not what the rest of my life is going to look like.
Are we socialized to lean to one of the other, intimacy or, routine intimacy, or the occasional spark kind of romance? I mean, the way we're socialized as men, women, or
I think
whatever.
It's very gendered. Yeah. I will say I think men are more socialized to be the kind of occasional, okay, it's our anniversary, it's your birthday, it's, Mother's Day, it's whatever, Valentine's. And then for women, it's, hey, you should be experiencing romance on a daily basis or else something's really wrong.
Right, yeah.
On a daily? That's a Bridgerton.
Well, Bridgerton
has had a big impact on romance and intimacy.
Let me ask about this, and I'm not sure this exactly fits into your area of expertise, but I'm sure you've heard of it. Now people seem to be popping a pill for everything.
Yep.
Hair loss, weight loss, whatever, ache, this is hurting me, this is bothering me, this... And a lot of them have side effects that affect people's quote-unquote libidos.
Yep.
What should people be doing about that? How are you gauging? When should you need it to pop a pill to be healthier in some way, and what are you sacrificing for it? And should that conversation be happening in the relationship?
I think that conversation should be happening with your primary care physician from day one. Because if you don't bring it up as something that is a priority to you, your doctor's not going to prioritize your libido. They're just not.
Yeah.
And however wonderful they are and however trained they are, they're going to say, you have this issue, we're going to treat this. Oh, and that could happen. It could happen. But if you tell them from the very beginning, which I have encouraged clients to do that, and they find wonderful in Houston, amazing doctors that really prioritize it, they will let them know, and then they don't have as much of an issue. The issue with low libido when it comes to being a side effect is that it's like, for most people, it's overnight. Whoa, I used to have a libido and now I feel nothing. And the idea of feeling nothing makes me want to do nothing. Well, guess what? If you're in a long-term partnership, that's not going to work for your partner.
Yeah.
So it might be that all systems are saying no, and so your brain and your body are working together to say no, but then you're going to have a partnership that is lacking intimacy. And when that happens, typically bad things, betrayal, disconnect, miscommunication, and often cheating can occur.
Do you ever see couples that one is the the one and one is the romance. But then all of a sudden they just say, oh, forget it. I'll just go and be a routiner like you. Or I'll just go into all
Can we change
spark,
our spots?
Change our, flip-flop.
Yes, they can. And
is
oftentimes
that
it
good?
comes from someone like me telling them, hey, you're going to need to do this or else you're going to lose it. And lose it meaning lose the relationship.
But if you decide to give up being sparky and go all routine, do you end up resenting that person because you feel as though you've had to give up what you naturally like for the harmony of the relationship or making it last?
Well, again, I'm always going to go with blend. But if you are doing all one or all the other and you don't even know if that works for your partner, let's just start with that. Oftentimes people are so starved for affection and starved for intimate connection that anything goes a long way. And I'm not saying that's a great way to be, but it's an okay place to start is just by saying, okay, let's try this for this week. Let's have a regular date night. Let's try something new. Let's watch this spicy show together. Sometimes that can go a really long way, especially for couples who've been together for decades and decades.
Ernie mentioned something earlier. Summertime, kids are at home,
Yeah.
everybody. I mean, all the responsibilities. With all of those things in play, where do you land? Can you land in either one of them at all?
Don't let kids ruin your intimate life. Don't do it. There are locks on doors and you can use your boundaries. I always have told my kids and told my clients to tell their kids, this is an adults only zone. If you want access, you need to knock. And after a certain time, unless it's an emergency, don't come in. And you don't ever have to explain to them exactly why.
As a child, I'd have been mortified.
Man,
You don't have to say why.
But I'm not going to tell that story, but go ahead.
But you can just say, this is our adult space.
Yeah.
And guess what? When you go to their rooms, I encourage you to knock too. Let's be mindful of just that boundary. And then if it gets to a place where, they're coming in all the time, that ends up causing a rift between parents as well, because one person's so happy to just fall back asleep with the kids in between them, and the other one is resentful because, I guess we're not going to get to cuddle in the morning, and I guess we're not going to be able to.
So you're talking small kids. What about those adult kids who come back home? How do they factor into the equation and
so
intimacy
with
and quiet
older
time?
kids, I think I'm a big fan of just saying, hey guys, if you say you're going to be out, just know that's our date night. Anytime you're out of the house because you've said you're going to be out, that's our date night. You need to let us know when you're coming back in. You need to give us that notice and that respect.
Okay,
and again, you don't have to say exactly what's going to be going on, but date night,
they will know.
I want to flip this, though.
Okay.
Summertime, kids are around, all of that. As a parent, you start to notice they're maybe exploring who they are as individuals, their kids. How do you, and by kids, I don't mean youngins, I mean of age. What do you do? Are you having conversations? Are you looking the other way? Or how do you set the guidelines without anyone getting embarrassed, without anything?
Oh, I don't know that you can get through it without embarrassment.
That's part of it.
Especially if you've never had the conversation before and you're exploring that in their teens or maybe early adulthood. Embarrassment doesn't mean a stop sign. It just might be a pause. And I think both parents or all parents that are involved should be having these conversations from an age-appropriate standpoint. There are lots of great resources online that can help you to understand how to talk to your kids at different age ranges. But if you're just barely starting when they're 16, 17, you're kind of late to the game. You might have to play catch-up, and it might be embarrassing. And you can even say, you know what? I've never done this before, but this is what I need you to know. This is what's going on. And I would say more information is better than none.
And I will wrap this up by saying a couple comments we have over on our YouTube. Resonate says, lock them outside. And Dark One says, what happened to the sock on the doorknob? Good old classics. I love our chatters over on YouTube. Dr. Viviana Coles, thank you so much for joining us. She's a doctor of marriage and family therapy and joins us from time to time to help walk us through these tricky little situations in our life, but at the end that make life much happier. Coming up, current obsessions. Let's start sending those in. What are you obsessed with right now? I almost feel bad asking that at the end of this segment because I know where you're all going to head toward. Anyway, it's coming up as Hello Houston continues. Stay with us.
It's not just your car. It's the one that brought your kids home from school, took you cross-country, held memories, laughter, even a few breakdowns. When it's time to let go, give your car a new purpose. Donate it and turn memories into meaningful support for this station. Plus, you'll enjoy free and easy pickup, potential tax benefits, and a simple donation process. Your gift supports the programs you and your family love. Donate today and help keep public media strong. Call or donate online.
From the New York Times.
You can hear The Daily. It's on at 7 o'clock.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from Specs, celebrating the summertime heat with cold seltzers, ciders, canned cocktails, and more. Details at specs.com. Cheers to savings.
Houston Public Media is licensed to the University of Houston system, governed by the UH Board of Regents. Information about open meetings, dates, times, and locations is online at uhsystem.edu.
Tonight on Houston Public Media TV8, a night of mystery and intrigue with Father Brown at 7, followed by the Sister Boniface Mysteries at 8 and Death in Paradise at 9. Tonight on Houston Public Media TV8.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Houston Grand Opera, presenting its 2026-2027 season, including Verdi's Aida, Mozart's The Magic Flute, and Kern and Hammerstein's Showboat. Information at hgo.org.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from Baylor College of Medicine. Baylor's work centers on advancing health and medicine through research, education, and patient care.
Support comes from Museum of Fine Arts Houston, presenting a 4th of July celebration at Bayou Bend, featuring performances, activities, and refreshments. July 4th starting at 1 p.m. Information at mfah.org/Bayou Bend.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Ernie Manouse and guest host Doris Childress.
Okay, it's time now, diving into our current obsessions. I tell you this every week. This is a rundown of things that you are currently obsessed with. It's taking over all of your free time. It can be a TV show you run home to continue watching, a song that you play on repeat, an audiobook that makes you drive that extra mile. You get the idea. Okay, before we jump into what Doris and I are obsessed with this week and reading all of your obsessions, one of the top trending ones on X is the announcement of, and I'm not obsessed about this one at all, Absolute Batman. It's an animated series adaptation. Doesn't excite me at all.
But I was a Batman fan.
Were you?
Oh, yeah, when I was a kid, the old one.
The TV show?
Oh, yeah, with Eartha Kitt and everything.
Oh, I love
I
Eartha Kitt as
love that.
Yeah, oh, God. Well, they're obsessed about that right now. It's based on a best-selling comic series of the same name that reimagines Batman as a working-class hero. I could get interested in this. In this version, the Joker is a billionaire. But I always assumed he was anyway.
I did
always
too.
assumed the Joker had money.
He had money.
He wasn't
just
stealing.
a little off, but he had money.
He wasn't stealing so he could get a sandwich. He was stealing because he
But
was...
I do love my old Batman.
Okay, we want to know yours. Here's the time to start sharing them with us. Either call or text. I love phone calls because then we can talk to you about your obsessions.
And we're nosy.
Yeah, we're nosy. 713-440-8870. You can also text them or you can either email them talk@hellohouston.org. Okay, Doris, you're starting me off. What are you currently obsessed with?
Okay, so when I was getting ready to come in this morning, I was telling the kids, oh, they've got current obsessions, and I don't have one. And they give me that look,
So they know you better than you do.
They do.
What is it?
And so she told me, she goes, Mom, you're obsessed with gadgets and gizmos. Just the other day, I'm in Sam's. I just picked up a KitchenAid, the big mixer.
On a whim.
But no. I mean, not promoting. It was a bargain deal.
Well, I know that about you. When it
I
comes
love
to
a
a bargain,
bargain.
it doesn't matter what it is.
I treasure hunt.
And that's what we've had in common our
But
whole
what
lives.
happened is it's a 2-in-1 kind of deal thing. I'm going to have shaved ice at my 4th
Oh,
of
you
July
got
party.
the shave ice
Yes, I bought the attachment. So it's gadgets. And what else? I'm obsessed with Henry Louis Gates and his documentaries right now.
Oh, well, that's a little better than gadgets.
But
wait till you hear mine.
What are yours?
And not to, again, endorse anything, I'm obsessed with Prime Day. What's going on right now?
Well, see, I have an issue.
Okay, what's your
Because
issue?
I think if you're trying to really promote and get new people in, you should just let all of us have Prime benefits those 2 or 3 days.
Oh, everyone doesn't get them? It's
no,
only us Prime
it's
members?
for Prime members.
I never thought of it that way because I've been a Prime member forever.
No, well, I'm not, but my kids are.
Yeah. But I have been buying. I
What did
came
you
into
buy?
it without thinking I would do anything with it. I mean, it seemed like too much work, and I don't like anything that adds work. 'Cause it's like fishing through it all. And I usually keep a want list on my Amazon account, and so when Prime Day, I just go and I look at my want list and see did the price drop on things I already wanted. That way, I don't have to fish through everything. But nothing was really jumping out at me.
What
And
about
then-
foam machines?
Foam?
I have been obsessed with having a foam party ever since my sister would not let me book one for my nephew's graduation party.
Does this
Remember,
does this
I was
go back
in
into our
charge.
last segment about
I was
intimacy?
in charge of that graduation party, and I had booked a foam machine. She got it, and then she turned it around. She goes, "Oh, we're not going to have time." So now I'm
Is that
going to
how
have
your sister talks?
Well, that's not exactly how she talks, but that's how I heard it in my head when she said this foam machine is going back because we won't have the time. So I'm obsessed with having a foam party.
And where would you have it? Like in your
backyard? I don't care. I just
So
want
it's an
the foam
outdoor
party.
thing. You don't
yeah,
do it like
it's
in
an
your
outdoor
living room.
thing.
You're not going to let that
oh,
happen.
yeah. I'm having it.
A foam party. So did you buy a foam machine?
I kind of got one somewhere. I got one.
You're
I
out
did.
of control.
I am obsessed with one of my gadgets.
Yeah. Well, I got myself a new tablet. And then a friend of mine said to me, well, you have those glasses where you can watch movies in your glasses, but it needs a USB-C with data port. And they don't have those in the cheap end tablets. You have to get a more expensive tablet. So I canceled the tablet. And then I forgot, and I also bought the case for it, and it came in. And then I was like, well, now I've got the case, and it cost me $5 for the case. So I reordered the tablet,
oh my God,
which wasn't $5, and now it came in. And my friend's like, but it still doesn't have the port you need. And I'm like, yeah, but it was such a good deal. So that's what
are
I
you
bought.
obsessed with online shopping in general?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really, still?
Yeah. It's insane. It is a problem I have. Let's see. What are some obsessions? Obsession is Noah Espinosa. My obsession is Nico B, a really chill UK rapper.
Oh.
I don't know Nico
I
B.
don't either, but I'll look him up later, or her.
My British computer guy says, my current obsession, I'm always interested in what he's into, this week has been I Will Find You, a Netflix show about a father wrongfully sentenced to life sentence for the murder of his own young son when he's presented with new evidence. My British computer guy, I don't know why you don't call in because I want to ask you questions about it. It's a Harlan Coben mystery. And my friend Jeff, who watches TV with me and my mom all the time, we've watched all of those series by this same author. And he even was on an old show I did. And the problem is, though, they've kind of fallen into a rut for me. And I saw this one just last night and I was like, should we start watching that one? So my British computer guy, tell me, should I be watching that one? Noah Espinosa also says, I want to go to a foam party. So you have to invite him to your foam party.
I'll call, yeah.
Alex Garza-Foda says, my current obsession this week has been watching Widow's Bay on Apple. What a fun, spooky show. So much fun watching the FIFA World Cup as well. Good
I
old
think
Alex
everybody's
Garza.
obsessed with that. Whether you know about soccer or not, you're watching everything that happens, especially with America.
A text came in. Hi, I'm currently obsessed with the buying power of teachers' salaries today versus when I began teaching in 2007. Dismal. And they end it with, hi, Doris, LMC sister. Love
Who
hearing
is
you on
that?
the air. It's a text. I don't know.
Oh, please tell me who that is. LMC. That's the college we went to. It's now closed, but Lawnmowers College. Please
well, there you
text
go.
me.
Another text that came in, I'm obsessed with hand-drawn animated films. I want to revisit the masterpieces I've seen before, like Akira and Fantasia, and watch others that I haven't seen, such as The Iron Giant and My Neighbor, Totoro.
Okay, it works for me.
It works for me too. The Iron Giant, I remember that. Yeah, hand-drawn animation. Speaking of films, too, Wes Anderson's coming back to town. I always think of him with some of his animated, his Mr. Fox film. He's going to be here to raise money for the Garden Oaks Theater to try and save it.
Any food obsessions right now?
I'm back to pizza making. I had moved away from it. There was a pizza, really quickly, in upstate New York, where I come from, that used kind of an American cheese on their pizza. It wasn't a pizza you'd eat as a dinner, but it was a pizza you would get like as a snack kind of. It was fun. It was a little smaller, a little sheet pizza. And so I am trying to perfect that recipe, and I've made one now. Pretty close. I think I'm going to try a new cheese blend. I bought the cheese. That's coming this weekend. So let's see. My
Mine
British
is cucumbers, 'cause I keep
computer
growing a
guy
ton of 'em.
says, yes, I should watch that show we were just talking about. I Will Find You.
Okay.
So he says I should watch it. Widow's Bay was my current obsession 2 weeks ago. And if there were still time, he'd call in and talk to us. But there's not time. There's only 30 seconds left. So I'm going to use that 30 seconds to say this has been a very fast-paced show. And always a joy to do it with you, Doris. I enjoyed it so much. Will you come back and do it with me again tomorrow?
I sure will. I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, well then, and I hope we'll see all of you with us as we do the show. Remember, we're always interested in your current obsessions, so send them to us all week long, and we'll compile them and share them on the show. You send them to talk@hellohouston.org. We'll be back tomorrow. We're also going to take a look at the current state of the U.S. beef industry, and we'll get the latest on what's going on with the screwworm. We talked about that before. That's all coming tomorrow. We'll be back here with you. This is Hello Houston on News 88.7.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menjivar, Jen Altai, Todd Holslander, and Jim Kovacic. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at HoustonPublicMedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Support comes from Metro. World Cup planning includes transit improvements intended to serve Houston after the final match. Metro provides bus, rail, and paratransit service.